So I want to bring you now a new segment that we're going to do here at 7 o'clock that we're going to ask you to get involved with. We want to look at stories a little bit differently. We want to talk about them a little bit differently, and we want to show you that we are listening. So I want your feedback. Tell me what you're thinking, what stories you think we should be covering, maybe what we're not covering well enough, what we should be paying more attention to. Email me at dan@WRAL.com. Now, I want to start tonight by proving that we are listening with an email that I got after I did a segment on anti-discrimination ordinances, the ones that have been popping up in cities across the state. Most of them go into effect next month. Here's the email. Dear Mr. Haggerty, I'm a non-binary middle schooler. Now, if you're wondering what is non-binary, this kid who wrote me doesn't identify as male or female. The message goes on. I saw your segment on the news today about the Anti-Discrimination Act. I was wondering if you could talk about how the anti-discrimination law affects students, children who are part of the LGBTQ community, if it does at all. Will schools have to start inputting more accepting rules? Will private schools have to follow as well? This is a great question. Thank you so much for reaching out. I love that a middle schooler is watching the news, for one, and also engaging with us. So let's start with the first part of that question. Will the anti-discrimination law affect students, children who are part of the LGBTQ community? As we explained the other night, there are no specific federal protections for those people when it comes to public accommodations. So things like shops and restaurants and theaters and so on. That's why the local communities you see on your screen right now have passed their own anti-discrimination laws to give local protections to people. Now, we went a lot deeper on that topic, so if you're interested, you can watch the full piece on WRAL.com right now. But this question tonight was about schools, public and private. This person asked me to talk about how these new laws will affect students, and I'll start by giving you the quick answer. They won't. And for clarity, I asked UNC Chapel Hill law professor Barbara Osborne, who has been specifically studying transgender rights in our schools.
The ordinances deal with businesses, places of public accommodation, but they do not deal with schools. However, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 deals with sex discrimination in schools, and that's any public or private school from K through 12 through colleges and universities that receive federal funding.
Okay, Title IX. You've heard of Title IX. A lot of you know what that is. It's an amendment to the Civil Rights Act, and it says no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participating in, be denied the benefit of, or be subjected to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Now, you might be asking yourself, Dan, what about the schools that don't take any federal funding? Do they have to abide by Title IX? And no, the answer is no, they do not. But that is a very, very small percentage of schools. Most places, even most private schools, do take some form of federal money. Now, when Title IX was written in the 70s, the word sex applied to men and women. But over time, the definition of that word, sex, in that document has been adjusted by the U.S. Supreme Court. While there are no specific rulings applied directly to Title IX, in June of 2020, the Supreme Court delivered a major victory to LGBTQ employees, ruling that the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects gay, lesbian, and transgender employees from discrimination based on sex. Also, in June of this year, the U.S. Department of Education confirmed Title IX protects students from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. But this discussion is far from finished because schools have sports teams. And according to Title IX, trans athletes should be able to play with the gender they identify as. Otherwise, they'd be excluded from participation, right? But several states have bills that don't let them do that. North Carolina is considering one of those bills. One of the main arguments is a transgender girl who was born a boy would have an unfair advantage playing against biological girls in most sports. Now, this is a bigger conversation for another night, but the trans sports dilemma creates a real conundrum for how we define equality in America, or at least how our laws have tried to solve this issue with other groups of people. If trans athletes can't compete based on their gender identity, it would be a different approach to equality than we have used before. No other group has an asterisk. All of this to say that our laws are written to protect students in the LGBTQ community, but those protections are still being defined. If you have questions about our coverage, maybe something I said tonight, if there's something you think we should be paying closer attention to in this community, please email me, Dan@WRAL.com.
Many layers to this very important conversation. Thank you, Dan.